KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. 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 Follow the leader.
Let me find out you got vocals, Andy. You know I want to hit my Roger Rabbit really hard. Shout out to Heart and Soul right here from Los Angeles. I think, was it Derek and Kaylin in the video? Think so. I think this was after Willie departed. But shout out to them. It's a B-Brown classic.
Jill,
Yes.
what year this came out?
88.
Question.
Yes.
I was a young tyke in the year of 88. We just spoke about Will Smith, the year 1988. Hip-hop, they consider 88 to be like the golden year or something like that.
89. Was it 88 or 89?
I heard 88 a lot.
I think it was 88, yeah.
I stand to be corrected. If I'm not mistaken, Bobby Brown came out at 88. I want to say Michael Jackson dropped Bad.
So here's the thing. The singles came out, like Don't Be Cruel came out in 88. The album dropped in 80. No, it did drop summer 88. You are right. Because it and New Edition dropped the same day. Bad did come out. Bad came out in 87.
87, okay. So I guess I'm just curious. How was 88 just musically? Because it seemed like hip-hop was popping, R&B was popping, Michael Jackson, Bobby Brown, New Edition.
So I feel like 88 was a turning point in a lot of ways because, you know, we had hip-hop impulses and pieces, right? But it was taking a hold, especially for the youth. Think about that. The year before that, we probably had Eric B. and Rakim that were out. 88 was on the cusp of, like, for me, I remember, for whatever reason, the summer of 89. But this has to be the buildup because albums obviously were worked a little bit longer. You think about Big Daddy Kane came out somewhere in that 88, 89 time period. Into 88, you got, now a lot of you guys probably aren't going to remember this artist, but he was big. Young MC, Bust a Move, USC graduate. That is around that time. I feel like Tone Loc, Wild Thing, was that 87, 88-ish, right around that time period. I feel like it was a good time, you know. Boys in the Hood, feel like that was bubbling under NWA. So, Tone Loc, 88, yeah, that's what I thought. So was Rap City launching then? I think around there. Somewhere.
That might have been Yo MTV Raps.
I mean, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yo MTV Raps. Rap City probably came about 89, 90, probably 90. Yep.
That early?
The first version of Rap City had a comedian named Chris Johnson. They used to call him the Mayor. And it was just on a set. It like had a blue backdrop, sometimes a little gate, and he would sit on a bench. And
I remember Les and Joe Claire.
That's
the
later.
earliest I can remember.
Yeah, that was later. Before that, it was Chris Johnson, the Mayor. And it was because it launched shortly after Yo MTV Raps. It might have been shortly before. But they were around the same time period. Obviously, Yo MTV Raps got more love because MTV was in more homes via the cable system. But that was a good year now that I think about it. Listen, Guy, We were busting out with the Guy album, Groove Me and stuff. So we were coming off of 87 was Keith Sweat with the I Want Her album. So we were coming into New Jack Swing territory. A lot of things were changing. That was a good year. That was a good time. Like, now that I think back on it.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Adam Milan in the chat. Happy Halloween to you too. Thank you. Had to take my gloves off because I couldn't move around on my computer. Check out my little Dalmatian in the building. We got that too. Chris Thomas. Okay, yeah, Chris Thomas. Isn't that what I said? I don't know. But his name was Chris. It was the mayor, and definitely Rap City before Big Les and Joe Claire got on there. They were in the building.
I do know one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Honestly, yeah, it had to be before that because Kid and Play hosted an episode of Rap City, and it was one of the things that was utilized to say, we need to get these guys into something. They were doing impressions of, there used to be these commercials that used to come on back in the day for these compilation slow jam albums, and at the end of the commercial, like, 'cause it was like a small party with couples dancing, and one of the guys is like, hey, let me borrow this, and the guy goes, no, my brother, you've got to get your own. It's a very famous commercial. It was spoofed in a lot of things, and so yeah, that, I think it's a great year to start off one, because I think that is when, one, you knew this genre is not going anyplace,
right.
And two, they're starting to dig their feet in, because we're starting to see a lot of superstars emerge.
Absolutely.
So
You just, growing up, you just heard so much about the year 1988, but also do know one thing that was also popping in 88.
What's that?
Back-to-back chips.
That's right. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons. I think we beat them. Okay. Laker fans in the building. Speaking of, really quick, since Andy brought up basketball, James Harden, we mentioned the trade last night. We have the details of it. Let me say, one, I feel the Clippers gave up way too much. Two, I don't know if you guys have seen the video that is floating around on social media of James Harden walking into the locker room. Let me tell you, there are several things that you need to pay attention to in this video. One, the teammates around, they don't look happy. They don't look excited about this new venture. They did not look welcoming. They didn't look like, what's up, homie? They looked a little bitter, bit. And him and Russ looked like two old homies reconnecting, like, word, we about to do this. I don't know. I'm interested to see what the turnout is. James Harden did lead the league in assists last season. Clippers have been kind of with the point guard, so we're going to see what happens.
I think the Clippers are very top-heavy.
Absolutely.
I don't think they have much depth.
100.
They have a lot of guards. So I think the only big man they got is Zubac. So, I know a lot of people are gassed up. Clipper fans are gassed up. It's dope once again to have 4 LA SoCal Cats. I think that's dope.
Right.
I want to salute that. That is dope. Once again, they're playing for the wrong team. But I just think, once the injuries and all that other stuff happens, who are you going to go to? Because Terrence Mann was not a happy camper in that locker room.
Look, he looked pissed. He did not look happy at all. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Join LA Civil Rights and the Reparations Advisory Commission's Black Experience Study live this fall. Learn about the city's plans for reparations and join the study in real time. For more information and to register, visit laisforeveryone.com today.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Only 1 in 5 people with autism are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do. Like, what about a programmer?
That's a job for someone with autism.
How about a healthcare worker?
Yep, that is too. People with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas. Introducing WIN by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
What about a ranch hand?
To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, shout out to the chat because they have my back. The compilation album was called Hey Love, and it definitely has your 70s and 80s oldies but goodies, the dusties, as what George Clinton referred to them in the House Party. Why am I acting like I don't know the title? House Party. Forensic Accountant also dropped on us that the commercial featured John Canada Terrell, who was the star in She's Gotta Have It and played Flash in the 5 Heartbeats. So shout out for that bit of nostalgia. 5 Heartbeats is one of my most favorite movies ever in life. So shout out to that bit of nostalgia and info. Okay, so listen, I mentioned this a little bit. I just have to share this with you before we talk about magic. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said that a guy stole a car, right? He's facing multiple charges. He took a couple for an Uber ride in a stolen rental car. And he left the car running for 3 weeks so he wouldn't lose access to the vehicle. Let me tell you why, right? He was stopped. The way that he got caught was he was stopped by the police and he was arrested for driving without a license. But basically, he gave an Uber ride to a couple who had traveled to Polk County from the UK for a wedding. During the ride, he basically was doing Uber with the couple in the car, and authorities forced him to pull over. He had a rental. He hadn't paid for the rental. He was over the time period. Well, I guess in new rental cars, they have a switch so that if you're beyond the time frame, it's like a kill switch, so you can't start the car after that. He knew that, and he turned it off so that he could he didn't turn it off so that he could still have access to it. He was receiving calls daily from the car company, and he basically just hid the car and kept. How does that work? How do you lock the car? Where can you keep the car like that you just keep it running? How do you fill up the gas tank? I'm so curious about this. Like, people will go far to get their thief on. Did he not think he was ever going to get caught? Like, I just don't understand the game plan. But anyway, he was caught. They took the bride and groom to their wedding. They snapped a photo to commemorate the moment. And the 27-year-old, he was jailed. So good luck with that in the schemes. Now, before I get into Magic's billionaire thing, I do think that Magic has kicked off a lot of this former athlete ownership across all of leagues, because I feel as though he was the most high profile person to join a league and to actually look as if, and I say look as if because some people will dispute, he was not just a figurehead. He actually was involved. We know that didn't go so well when he was an exec with the Lakers, but I think that although the way he did it, not my favorite Magic moment. However, I did understand his point in that, Magic is a free spirit. He has a lot of businesses. He takes off for like a month and a half in the summer to celebrate his birthday and go yachting around various parts of the world. He doesn't want to be in there locked in 24 hours a day, but we know Magic has a great work ethic. And obviously, we hear about several athletes that are now own franchises, are making plans to, in the future, hopefully buy into a franchise. We know Shaq and LeBron are both interested in a Las Vegas NBA franchise. Recently, it was announced that Grant and Tamia Hill have become part owners of the Orlando Pride and the Orlando City SC. Those are the two MSL, and women's MSL franchises down in Orlando. I believe Grant has some ownership in the Magic now. I believe he does. Magic has been a mentor to lots of players in the league as far as business goes, and just kind of set the stage. He's opened his door to any that want to come and talk to him. I actually, when I had a chance to interview him for They Call Me Magic, when that came out, the documentary, I guess that was the docuseries that was on Apple TV Plus, maybe last summer, I talked to him about his mentoring of athletes and how that sort of starts out. And he says that he makes it known that he is available to anyone that wants to come talk to him, but he doesn't necessarily seek out and give an opinion without, being asked or offered. Shout out to Adam in the chat. He says, actions always speak louder than words. Keep showing up. It's a good note. He's talking to Terry. See, I told you, they all have their own conversations going on there. So listen, we know that Magic has been on this business journey for quite some time. It started when he was with the Lakers. Obviously, Dr. Jerry Buss was a mentor and father figure to him, gave him lots of advice and set the stage as far as business come. We've seen Magic revitalize. The thing that I always respect about Magic is that he started here in the city that, loved him, revered him, and he didn't go to some of the other areas, the outskirts, where he absolutely could have. I know that there were people that wanted to do business with him there, and I'm saying I know, not as a fact I know. I'm saying I know just by who he was and what he represented, right? So to see him reach billionaire status after being the first black man to rally and get the first Starbucks put in the hood, I say that with quotes, when he had Magic's Corner in the Ladera Center, which is right here in LA. What a lot of people don't know is that before he even put in the Fridays, the Starbucks, and it was one more thing that used to be there, Fridays, Starbucks, and one more, Fat Burger. When he bought Fat Burger, he actually bought into the Ladera Center property as a shopping center and helped save it early in the 90s. So Magic has always been around. He had a store, Magic's 32, that was in the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. And I just respect how he's built his business and that he's always thought of the people that lifted him up as far as fans and us, and that's important. So he is the fourth athlete to reach billionaire status. He joins Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods. Something that I want to take note of, you guys probably already know this. One, recognize that two of the four are Los Angeles Lakers. We got that. We have that little special sparkle. Also recognize that of this list, 3 of the 4 are former NBA players. I don't know if that means that we know the money is less in the NFL, But still, I think it's rather interesting that, 3 NBA players out of the 4. Golf is obviously a wealth sport, expensive to play, expensive equipment, and we know Tiger Woods was making dough. And he also, through his deal with Nike, which he, has some type of ownership in, was like the best-selling golf line, I think, in history or something like that initially. So there's a lot going on there. So Magic's estimated net worth is approximately 1.2 billion, right? We know he was the number 1 draft pick in 1979 to the Los Angeles Lakers. He was the assist leader 4 times, steals leader twice, blah, blah, blah. 5 rings. We know that. 12 NBA All-Star appearances. But of course, the NBA wasn't paying out dough like it is now. So the bulk of his money, which again is to me incredibly respectful. We know that obviously he had a great starting point, but not like these athletes today. So I think that a lot of people talk about the Forbes list. Is it real? Buying your way in. But Magic's is legit, I feel. And I'm, proud of that as a Los Angeles Laker fan. Fahima says, what I don't get is the Uber at least check dude's driver's license, if not the status of the car he was going to be using. I think once you sign up and you are checked in, they don't check that stuff. Like, why? Unless somebody complains, do you have to clock in and note the car that you're using every week? And, some people probably borrow a car to Uber or different things like that. Shout out to Channon in the chat for reminding me that it was Fatburger on that Magic corner. Forensic Accountant says, when we tell Magic's story, we should also recognize Lon Rosen for being a serious agent and putting Magic up on game. It's true. Magic was lucky enough to have, a good team around him and savvy enough not to be taken advantage of, because, and I'm going to be honest, I think that a lot of that has to do with his relationship with Dr. Buzz. He is not a player, and we know Magic was not cheap. Again, the money was different, but Magic liked a good time. So we see him enjoying his money, but obviously very responsible. He's an icon. Shannon asks, where does Shaq land on the list? On the billionaire list, Shaq's not a billionaire yet. I'm sure when it's all said and done, he will get there because Shaq owns everything. I mean, Shaq owns, through the Authentic Brands company, Marilyn Monroe, her image, Forever 21, all of these things. So, I mean, we know Shaq is going to be on that list soon, especially if he is somehow able to put together a group and get the Las Vegas franchise. I didn't realize that he sold his piece in the Sacramento Kings, which is interesting to me. I wonder why he decided to do that. Probably because it was the Kings and it didn't feel right. It never felt right to me. You're not supposed to be representing that cow town. These are just jokes, people. But, as a Laker fan who saw what Shaq and Kobe and the rest of the Lakers did to the Sacramento Kings in the early 2000s. Listen, the franchise is just now starting to recover. They're just now starting to get their buzz back. They're just now starting to look like they're pulling some things together. So, kudos to him. Kudos to Magic for putting it down. Andy?
Shout out Tim Donaghy.
Why are we shouting out Tim Donaghy? I know who he is. He's the cricket ref, but why are we shouting out Tim?
So, all these athletes got podcasts now.
Right.
And I believe Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells, they're on Underdog Fantasy. They got a little YouTube page.
Underdog Fantasy has everybody.
They do. And, they were pretty much talking about, Rasheed Wallace was talking about his relationship, with the refs throughout his whole career. And, he was just talking about how the refs have been in cahoots. And, of course, they talked about Game 7, 2000 against the Lakers. And then, of course, the King series against the Lakers was brought up. And, they were using those as examples of how, the refs, But that's why I said shout out to Tim Donaghy because, the Lakers came out on top. So, it is what it is.
Listen, The Lakers deserve that win. They took your heart, Sacramento. Just take it. In the building with the cowbells. All of that. Excuse me. Anyway, shout out to the Sacramento Kings. They did beat us on Sunday. And, I think, did the Lakers lose tonight? Okay, last night. They won last night, so it was just Sunday. Okay. All right, cool. All right, just, haven't been keeping up as much as I need to, but we're just starting. Side note, really quickly, this NBA tournament, I don't get it. I'm going to watch, but I don't get it. And also, I saw someone say this, and I think that it is a valid point. So we know how they're incentivizing the players to get excited around this. Money. What is the fans' reason for getting excited about this besides we're seeing basketball? It kind of doesn't make sense. It doesn't understand. Feels a little college-y. We know it's a money grab. We know it's because you want to take over Vegas. We know you're trying to do other things, but really, what is the point?
Yeah, I don't think the fans really get much out of this other than supposedly this is supposed to at least keep the regular season interesting, considering players want to sit out games and certain things like that. But I think you nailed it on the head. You said it's very college-y, and I think that's something that they're taking from them. During the college season, they have that in-season tournament that really doesn't mean much, but it has you stacked against, other teams that might not necessarily be in your conference. So I don't know. I still don't get it. But
I think they're also trying to get some of the excitement of March Madness, a one and done, situation like that. Early in the season, because we know a lot of fans are, oh no, we don't start watching the NBA till after the Super Bowl. So I think that could have something to do with it as well.
But people criticize the play-in for the playoffs.
That ended up being exciting.
Absolutely so.
So that's why I'm going to give it a chance, because I was talking much trash about the play-in. And I was excited. It worked out. It was thrilling and all of that. One other thing about this play-in, besides the fact that they need to make it something worthwhile for the fans, they did change the courts. What's going to happen, though, when fans start spotting some of the players on the tables at like 2 a.m. on game night? I'm just saying it could happen. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to talk about Marcus Jordan and who he wants as his best man and all the details of his pending nuptials to the ex-Mrs. Scottie Pippen. Shout out to Lola Ray in the chat. Shout out to Fahima, Shannon Thompson, Terry, forensic accountant. All you guys, thank you for locking in, VIPs. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News and Sports is up next.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says in all his years as a New Yorker, he's never seen the level of outward hate displayed in the city since war broke out between Israel and Hamas. It comes as the NYPD sees an uptick in anti-Semitic crimes, with at least 33 reported in the first 3 weeks of October. Adams, who is black, says New Yorkers have an awesome responsibility to lift up the city during this extremely challenging time. An Alabama man is facing charges for allegedly threatening Fulton County's district attorney and sheriff. Investigators say the suspect left expletive-filled threats on the county's customer service line directed toward Sheriff Pat Labatt and Black DA Fonnie Willis just before former President Donald Trump was indicted in Fulton County. Trump and a handful of others are accused of meddling in Georgia's 2020 election. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
water. All of life depends on it. So, for the love of water, California, everyone has a part to play when it comes to reducing water waste. Let's make conservation a way of life. Find ways to conserve at saveourwater.com.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Follow the leader. Following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
You are now in Big Tobacco's fantasy land. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's fantasy land, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When is the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Hey, everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Honey. Hey, I'm here for you. Tell me about school today.
When kids can't find the right words, music can help them sound it out. Talk to the kids in your life about their emotional well-being. Find tools and resources at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, this is for my brothers in the hood, in the high rises, on the mansions with the maids. We gotta come together, y'all. Come on. Case.
Standing here alone, trying to face another day. Gotta stay strong to endure this pain I'm dealing with right now. It flipped my whole life upside down. I don't want your help. I don't need your sympathy. No.
Shout out to Andy, bringing in the romantic vibes as he does occasionally. It's a great song, though. So let's see. Let's look at the group. We got Tyrese and Genuine linking back up with Tank for TGT. I'm excited for that. RL is working on new music. I need to hit him up. Maybe he'll come on the show. We'll see about that. We'll see if we can get RL on the show. And let's see. Tank, RL, Tyrese, Genuine. No, Tank is not in the song. Case, okay. And Case, we haven't heard from in a while, but Faded Pictures and all of that were the joints back in the day. Touch Me, Tease Me, when he and Mary J. Blige were a couple. Listen, that was a bop. Urban Spencer said, Jill's not feeling this. I'm feeling it. That's a dope song. I'm just, I'm not reminiscing at all. It doesn't remind me of anything. I just thought it was a dope song. Maybe I wasn't in love in that period, so I don't have anything to connect it to. I'm just up, and we are in between. One last thing I did want to say on Magic. We know that Magic probably would have reached billionaire status a lot sooner had he have taken that Nike deal. Remember, they offered him 100,000 shares. At the time, they were 18 cents per share. They ended up blowing up. He probably would have been a billionaire in the 90s. But he didn't take it. They also offered him, along with that, $1 for every shoe sold. He opted not to do it. What he said, he was on the All the Smoke podcast, I think it was earlier this year, maybe late last year, about that deal. He said, he was from the hood, didn't come up with much money. So when you are presented with something where it's like stock options or cash in hand, if you don't know, you're going to take that cash because that's here today. You don't know what you're talking about down the road. But it worked out for him. He made it happen. I do want to say this. I did see on social media some pushback because, we've talked about LeBron becoming a billionaire, all of these other people, Kim Kardashian, Rihanna, these different things. And I saw some comments like, why are we celebrating that? There's no way that someone can reach billionaire status without having to be corrupt in some type of way or doing something that brings harm to people, because it is really ridiculous to think about how much money $1 billion is. Like, I don't think sometimes people actually understand that amount. I personally don't feel that way. I feel that it is aspirational. We've seen Magic struggle. We've seen a lot of these people struggle. And are the numbers maybe off? But guess what? They might be. I'm not going to quibble between, their $50 million difference or whatever, because that's just petty and that's just being a hater. And there's no need for that. The work ethic is there. I'm pretty sure most of them have written a book. So, you can see what you can apply to your life. And again, it shows the value of hard work in that. I get it. It's something that, do you have a billionaire in your phone? Probably not, that you can reach out to. But listen, it's nice to see people that maybe came up the way that you did or from similar circumstances make it out and succeed. I think, keep hope alive. That's what I say. Shout out to Forensic Accountant. You're like a library. The name of that song was Missing You? Or no, you're saying Case is Missing You. I miss. And Happily Ever After. Can't forget he had Beyonce in that video. Man, I remember all the controversy that came when that came out because they were like, she's too young to be in the video with him. Clearly, Beyonce liked a seasoned man. She didn't like Case, of course. That was just, the label pairing it up. It was a great video, though. Great song. Okay. Speaking of wedding videos and all of that, we have talked a few times about the romance of Marcus Jordan and Larsa Pippen. They're still going. And recently on Pablo Torre's podcast, Marcus was asked, when is the wedding? What are your plans for the wedding? So not only did Marcus give some details about the wedding, he let on who he wants to be his best man. And he said, unequivocally, it should be Mike. He wants Mike to stand up and be his best man at the wedding where he is marrying his ex-teammate's ex-wife. I don't take Marcus seriously. Marcus, you're not serious. You're not serious right now. Now listen, his reasoning behind it, really touching, really sounds sweet. However, stop playing in our faces. Stop playing in our faces, Marcus. You are tripping. Let's listen to the clip.
When's the wedding, you guys?
It's in the works. This is my go-to saying right now. I don't think we have like a date. We're still talking about locations and party size and all of that stuff. So it's not really concrete yet, but it'll happen.
Do you want your dad to give a toast at your wedding? How does this work?
Yeah, look, I was the best man at his wedding, and the best man at my brother's wedding, and so obviously we'll keep that tradition going. Is my thoughts on it.
I want in. I want video cameras there.
Now that
So listen, Marcus said that it is possible that they will have two separate ceremonies, maybe one that's just for family and one that's a little more public. Larsa is on The Real Housewives of Miami. I believe the show has been renewed, and there are talks of a wedding special. They've been approached about it. Naturally, who wouldn't want to cover that? But he's unsure right now. Marcus, you really gonna have your dad stand there for you? I want to know what Juanita has to say about all of this. I want to know Juanita's reaction. I would like to see the wedding just to see Juanita's face because, we don't hear very much from her. But I know amongst her girlfriends, maybe even with Jasmine, I know she has a lot of commentary to add to this topic. I know. I think it's hilarious. So are we taking Marcus and Larsa seriously, or are they really just in this for the long haul for this PR push because this is probably the most attention either one of them has gotten in a long time?
Refresh my memory. Is MJ happy about their relationship?
So when TMZ cameras caught up with him, they asked him what he thought about it, and he shook his head. He does not seem to be feeling it. But Marcus said that, and Larsa, that they spend holidays together, that last year they were together at Thanksgiving, and that, he's cool with it. I don't think he's cool with it. I can't imagine he's cool with it. Okay, there's so many angles we can come at this for. And I know that you guys already know this, but the optics alone, crazy. When you say the sentence out loud, crazy. When you think about not just that, Larsa's dating path in between there and all the young NBA players, it just looks a little nuts. I'm all for love. You never know where you're going to find it. And a relationship is between those two people. But y'all got to stop playing. When we come forward, more trending topics, more headlines, more. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yes, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
The Green Foundation, key health influencer, empowering our Black communities through action. The Green Foundation advocates for affordable health care, accessibility, and knows the importance of culturally relatable health care. Regardless of income, we believe it is a right for optimum health. The Green Foundation has been at the forefront for 25 years, dedicated solely to promoting prevention through early detection, annual screenings, and nutrition. We know you because we are you. Our hand-holding approach supports you and your family to receive your right to be treated fairly and receiving quality healthcare services. We want you and your family to know COVID-19 was devastating to our families and to our wallet. We can build back better by understanding prevention, wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distancing, and understanding the impact of long COVID. Get the care you deserve. Take advantage of your privileges. Contact us, info@thegreenfoundation.net. info@thegreenfoundation.net.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, so listen. You know, Rich Paul, he also has a memoir out, and he's been doing a lot of story sharing and telling. He recently was on Club Shay Shay, that's Shannon Sharp's podcast, where one of the stories he told was that he could shoot better than Steph Curry or just as well. I think that is tall tales, but rock out, Rich Paul, you know. But one of the stories he did relay was there was a lot of conversation, we know, when LeBron James went back to the Cleveland Cavaliers from the Miami Heat after Dan Gilbert, the Cleveland Cavaliers owner's Cosmic Sans font rant that he put out, where he said some pretty disparaging remarks about LeBron James' character following that. Well, Rich Paul breaks down what he was able to say to LeBron to convince him to make that trip back.
After Dan Gilbert said what the hell he said,
yeah,
he wrote what he wrote.
Yeah,
said LeBron quit, put that thing up in the paper. Yeah. How in the hell did you convince LeBron to take his ass back to Cleveland?
Legacy. It's about legacy, man. We come from a place where two brothers shoot at each other and sleep in the same bed. What we gonna set that for? We gonna put that over your legacy?
When you first told LeBron, hey, Bron, check this out, bro. For your legacy, I think you ought to go back to Cleveland and win the title. What did LeBron say? What was his exact words to you?
He was open-minded. He was open-minded, but he wasn't the first person I had a conversation. I had to have a conversation with, we were close. Yeah. So Savannah and Unglow and Mav and Randy, we talked about it.
How did Savannah feel?
Well, man, we've been down like 4 fat tires so she understood where because I have a perspective on it, right? And I don't make it about me.
Right.
What I'm saying is, in terms of legacy,
right?
We identified the talent that was currently on the team, and it wasn't about winning. I didn't know they was gonna go to the finals in the first year. That was all I was saying was, there's an opportunity, and if you're able to win, it's a wrap.
Right.
Nobody, forget anything else. If you win a championship for the city of Cleveland and the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't care what anybody get on any media platform and say, it don't even matter.
Right.
From that point on, it's all uphill.
So my question is, what would you do for legacy? Would you, in a situation like that, I mean, that's putting a lot of trust. Obviously, LeBron had won 2 titles at that point. But I've always thought it was interesting that he decided to go back. We know the relationship was a little contentious while he was still there, but he did it. He went back and brought a championship to the city of Cleveland, a city that never had one. And he is arched in not just Cleveland's history, but NBA history. We know what he's gone on to do after that. I don't know. I mean, I think that I have a lot of foresight and strategy in my mind, but I don't know if I could humble myself in that type of manner to go back and enter in that situation. But obviously he did, and the rest is history, and it all worked out really, really well. But still, just in thinking about it, what type of conversation, what could someone say to you and invoke the idea of you are impacting your legacy to make you go back to such a disrespectful situation?
I mean, it was his hometown, home state. You know what I mean? That's like me, getting drafted to the Lakers. I'm born and raised.
But that's different. I feel like that's different.
How so? He's from he's not from Cleveland. He's from Akron, but I mean, the professional team was the Cavs.
Yeah, I still feel like it's different because it's not, but the Lakers have pedigree and history. They represent something. The Cavs didn't mean anything until he made them mean something.
And that was legacy right there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
saying? But you're taking a chance, injuries, da-da-da-da. We know it wasn't smooth.
Well, we know LeBron is very calculated. He knew that Kyrie was sitting over there, and when he got there, he was going to make room for Kevin Love to push through it. They just drafted Andrew Wiggins at the time, the number 1 overall draft pick. So if he didn't have Kyrie and Andrew Wiggins set in place, I don't know if he actually would have made that move.
I mean, well, and Rich kind of alluded to it. They looked at the team or whatever. I can't remember what Miami looked like at that time period.
Well, they had just lost to the Spurs.
Correct. So they did need some adjustments, but I can't remember just in general what the team was comprised for. Like, if they would have come back, could they have run it back?
The way they got mollywopped by the Spurs, I think it was a done data for them. They had a lot of vets. I think they had Mike Miller. I don't know if he was still on that squad. But Ray Allen was on the squad.
What team, right? And I probably should go look this up at some point. But what team has really won that had a core of young guys?
Even though they didn't win it all, I'm going to go ahead and say the OKC Thunder. They got all the way to the finals. They won one game, but I mean,
here's the thing. We could talk. I want to know who won the finals because we could go back to the Orlando Magic and talk about a young core team with not that many veterans, and they got ran off the floor by the Rockets in that series. That was, 95?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the Rockets, I'm probably going to go ahead and say those Rockets, minus Hakeem Olajuwon. Because I think Sam Cassell was still a young buck. Robert Horry was still a young buck. Kenny Smith has been around
He had been around since at least 88.
Yeah, they had a balance over there.
Okay.
That's what wins championships, though.
A lot of balance. You need a young upstart on the bench that understands their role and isn't going to get too upset with, how the playing time plays out. But you need those vets. You really do. I'm going to have to look that up. I want to know what core young, a core young team. Obviously, there'll be some vets on there, but core young guys that took a title. I'm curious about that.
Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean,
even though Giannis kind of been around for maybe
and
6,
so had
7
Chris
years.
Middleton at that point. So,
Okay.
I mean, I get. So, what do I mean by young? Maybe 5 years and less. 5 years and past their rookie deal. You know, so
I was
not
gonna
the
say
first 3 or 4.
Nah, rookie deal.
Rookie, you
3
think-
years.
So a team comprised mostly of somebody. I don't think that's happened.
That Thunder team.
Well,
even though they didn't win it, but that Thunder team.
That's probably
Definitely.
yeah. Okay. Well, there it is. Okay, and continuing on with our sports theme to wrap out this hour, right? Because that's what we're doing. I mentioned that there is an NBA dad. He's actually a former NBA player too. And news of he and his wife's divorce spread like wildfire. People were shocked. There were lots of salacious details that came out. Well, he's recently shared that following his divorce and the he, I'm dragging it out for excitement. No, so it's Del Curry, which is obviously Steph's dad. He and Sonia got divorced a couple years ago to the shock of everyone. There were accusations of infidelity. It got kind of nasty, in social media. They both had new mates. They both were on their way to another situation. And Del got married. So they called it quits in 2021 after 33 years of marriage, right? And like I said, it was messy. So listen, he got married to his new boo. We saw her on the sidelines a couple times. People had fever for her. They felt like she could not compare to the Miss Sonia Curry. You can't. It's not fair. Don't do that to the lady. He obviously loves her. Her name is Nikki Smith. And, Sonia was dating a man named Steven Johnson. Well, Nikki and Del have tied the knot. And congratulations. He put on a post on social media. No, actually, it was an interview that I saw on social media. He said, "It's great. I didn't know what I was going to do after the divorce. I thought about going to the West Coast. Then I was like, nah, I'm not going to follow my sons. I'm going to stick it out." He said, "I had friends who introduced me to my wife now. I'd met her a couple of times. We talked on the phone for a month before I laid eyes on her. Old school. So they bonded, connecting over the voice, no visual." Dale, you didn't ask for a picture? Nothing? I don't know. But they did it the old school way. And he said he was like, "Oh, man, I like this girl. What's going on here?" He thought he was never going to get married again, but life is great, and he is, and he's in a great place. So shout out to Del Curry. Listen, next hour, we are going to get into Ray J saying he needs to help Kodak Black. We're also going to talk about Northwest. She did a recent interview, 10-year-old Northwest, about her future plans. I'm going to bring up the academic story again. We're going to try and get into that. So make sure that you are locked in, VIPs, to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is on the other side.
I don't want to lose my friendship over you. I've got to keep the thing in. 'Cause I'm still your boy. I've got your back. That ain't never gonna change. So I can't just hide the truth and keep smiling.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network.